Good evening, guys. Nice to see everybody again. Hope everything is going well. Appreciate your patience here. For the first minute, we had some technical difficulties right off the bat, which is how we like it. Um, Tonight, I am going to be reading the first part, or I should say the first half, of the first story in my collection named Enantiodromia, for sale on Amazon. 99-cent ebook, $4.99 for the paperback. The very first story is called Turning of the Bones, which some of you may also know it as the Madagascar story. The story is very much centered in Madagascar. It involves a gentleman who is pretty beholden to his traditions of his culture, and hilarity ensues. So that's very strange. Sorry, the technical stuff is just not going well here with Facebook tonight. I'm not sure what it's doing to me, but hopefully everybody's able to see this right now. And if not, you'll be able to see the recorded version. So I believe that this reading is going to take roughly 15 to 20 minutes. And I plan on doing the second part 24 hours from now, so Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope everybody is safe at home with their quarantine and their loved ones and all the wonderfulness that that entails. And I think we will get ourselves started here. This story it is a horror story. It's got a little bit of gore, a little bit of adult themes, so it's not necessarily for kids. And without further ado, here we go. Turning of the Bones by Mike X Welch. The dying person cannot wait for the shroud to be woven, which is a Malagasy proverb. It is September of 1947. The World War is over, but Madagascar is not free. The French have their heel on the throat of our freedom. I have left my wife and children, one boy, one girl, in my village of Anjiro and gone east to Antananarivo to fight. I carry only a spear in the earliest days of this resistance. By October of 1947, I am northwest of Manjacandriana, watching a young French soldier die. His drab olive uniform is spotted with dark maroon dots, and his beret has fallen from his head. He is lying on the forest floor, his blood soaking into my country. In the canopy, the lemurs are screeching. The forest smells stale and vibrant all at once, the plants decaying on the ground, feeding the life abounding everywhere. The sharp tang of the soldier's panicked sweat cuts through the musk. I try to imagine how the boy feels about dying so far away from home, with no family to take care of his body. I squat in a close thicket and watch him choke to death on his own blood. His eyes ask me for help, but I give none. Once he is still, I take his rifle. A month later, I am fighting on the outskirts of Antananarivo. My comrades and I, about 8 in number, have a group of French soldiers pinned in a small gully, having ambushed them during their afternoon meal. Many of my fellows hurl rocks down upon them, ranging from head-sized boulders to pebbles, with varying success. I check the bolt on the carbine rifle, ensure a round is chambered, and then fire a bullet into the temple of a soldier. His eyes lock on mine and go wide a moment before I pull the trigger. The report from the shot echoes across the farmland on which we fight. My fellows stop throwing rocks and turn around, raising their hands. I am the last to turn, and I find a full regiment of angry French with rifles trained on us. I slowly place my rifle on the ground and bring my hands up. One of the soldiers fires anyways, and a pain jumps up and hits me in the head. When I wake up, I am on my knees in front of a large square pit. The sound of a gunshot has woken me. One of my fellows, a man I know as Tanjona, is running away with a shovel in one hand. Tangona runs at frantic angles, but several shots from the soldiers behind me fell him. A collective groan goes out from my remaining 6 compatriots. Tangona goes down hard in the tall grass and does not move again. My head rings with pain and the gun smoke invades my nose. Panic spikes in me as more gunshots ring out, followed by cries from my comrades. I look to my right and see them each pitch forward one by one into the pit. Some still twitch and moan in the fresh dirt of this hole. Shot by deafening shot, they fall until there are no men left but me. There is a pause, a gulf of time during which I see the faces of my family, my wife, Finoana, and my children, Rakato and Mikanto. It ends when a soldier mutters in French, "Thought this one was already dead." Something heavy hits me between the shoulder blades and the air goes out of my lungs. I fall forward into the pit, a good 3-foot drop, but I am able to break my fall with my hands. The shots begin anew and I feel a hot knife punch into my back. My face becomes wet and I feel very tired. My eyes close as Tanjona's body is dragged into the pit. His limbs flop against our fellow soldiers, then are still. I regain consciousness again when a shovel load of dirt hits my back. I cannot move. Since I am lying on my stomach, my head turned to the right, my view is of the entire pit. The men I have fought beside are all dead. Most are covered in dirt, but I can see some of their faces, their white, vacant eyes staring into forever. Another shovelful of dirt hits me, this time on my neck. Dirt is in my eyes, but I can still see the light of day. I cannot blink it away. Dirt is in my mouth, and I can taste the soil of Madagascar. I cannot spit it out. I am worried that my family will not find my body, that none of us will be taken to the crypts of our ancestors. The lumps of dirt hit me in an irregular but clustered rhythm. It is getting harder to hear anything. Soon, more dirt and weight are piled on top, and everything has gone dark. I can still hear the French soldiers talking and laughing in muffled tones. I can hear the heavy trucks moving about. In time, everything is silent. I can't breathe. How will they find me? I don't know how much time passes, but I can see the mass grave from above now, and fear has left my heart. I decide to go into the forest, and instantly I am there. I decide to stand upon the ground, as a man would, and I am standing. I can see, but I cannot smell the forest nor feel Madagascar beneath my feet. I can hear if I concentrate on something. A warbling bird high on a limb calls out for a mate. The rain does not touch me, nor do the heat nor the cold. The sky flashes light and dark as days pass in seconds. I lift my face and call to Zanahari, who breathed life into all beings. Why have you not claimed me? I look at the forest floor and call to Radovantani, who claims the flesh of the dead. Why have you not released me? They do not answer me. I stand for many days and nights waiting. I am Angatra, a ghost. Life goes on around me, but does not see me. I walk west to my village, to Anjiro. The sky strobes with darkness and light, a day and night passing with each stride I take. The trees and rocks are still. The roads, though they blur with the comings and goings of the living, lead me home. I come to the doorstep of my house. This is a house I built with my father from mud brick. The roof is covered in gray thatched reeds, but it is strong. It has the luxury of not being too close to the houses on either side of it. The town has grown around it in my absence. There are houses in the neighborhood that were not here before. The doorframe is still the light blue that I painted it, but it has faded. On the corrugated fiberglass awning, something I always wanted but could never afford, there is a set of wooden wind chimes hanging. They hang motionless. I mouth the word slow, and the sky ceases flashing. A man emerges from my house, cinching his belt. His brow is wet with sweat, and I know, somehow, that he has just been with a woman. I lash out with my hand, but it passes through his cheek without touching him. He stops, though, as if he has heard something. I scream at him with all of my strength, cursing him and his family. He laughs at himself for hearing things, shakes his head, then moves on down the earthen street. My curses chase him. I reach for the door handle of my house but cannot grasp it. Truly, I am a worthless ghost, unable to touch or feel or strike anything in the real world. On this threshold I stand in despair. The day turns to night, and gradually the sky resumes its rapid cycle. I sense a shape close to me and will the time to slow again. The same man is entering my house, and without a second thought, I follow him through the open door. He is speaking to a woman with random gray scattered amongst her brown hair, who walks slowly. Her back is to us both. Her shoulders are low and her head is bowed. When she turns to receive a handful of clanking French franc coins from the man, I see that she is Finuana, my wife. She is much older than I remember, the wrinkles at her eyes more pronounced. Anger swells inside of me, and I have the sensation of growing. My perspective is from high in the corner of this kitchen, near the ceiling. Why is she selling her body? Why isn't she out searching for my body? How can our family perform the fame de Hana, the turning of the bones, if she hasn't found my body? There is no joy on either of their faces. Her eyes are downturned and defeated, and his mouth is set in a grim, businesslike line. Don't lay with this man, Fino, I shout. Use your time to find my body. I am Angatra. Angatra because you are here with other men. Deaf to my rage, the man heads into the hallway which leads to the bedrooms. Finoana sits down heavily at our kitchen table and covers her face in her hands. She is ashamed, I think. Good. Time passes and she does not get back up to meet with this man. Finoana's right leg bounces with anxiousness, and she continues to lean heavily into her left palm, her elbow on the table. Would that I could sweep my ethereal hand down and cause her elbow to move, to get her attention, anything. But she cannot, or does not, hear or see me. Confusion clouds my sight. I think of simply discovering where this man is, and instantly I am in the room with him and a young woman. They are having sex. The slapping of flesh and light squeaking of the bed springs is the only sound. The girl is on her back, with her head turned away and to the side. She does not appear to be distraught, but neither does she appear to be enjoying herself. This is my daughter, Mikanto, I realize with mounting horror. Her head turns my way, and I see her eyes, the same piercing dark eyes that my mother had. Her brow creases in light discomfort, and a frown flashes across her face. She cannot be more than 14. She was 6 when I died. Somehow, almost 10 years has passed since I died in that pit with my fellow soldiers. In that time, Finoana has sold Mikanto to this man. I feel myself growing, the room becoming smaller. I encompass the dimensions that Mikanto's dresser and bookshelves occupy. Blackness clouds the edge of my vision, and all I can see are the undulating muscles of this man's back. I lash out at the man as I did before, outside, not expecting any result. To my shock, and his, 3 long strips of flesh are flayed from his back. Small dots of blood hit the paper of a crayon drawing taped to beside Mikanto's bed. He screams and arches upward in pain, his head thrown back. My daughter scrambles out from under his weight and tries to cover herself with a small pink pillow. The man turns to her in anger and raises his right arm as if to backhand her. He thinks that she scratched him. She cowers in terror. Again, my rage spurts hot, and I lower my shoulder into his side and charge like a bull. The man is thrown against the brick wall of her room. I wish to do more violence, for my form to grow and crush this man against the wall, but I am suddenly very tired and cannot move. My daughter and her injured patron fade from my sight, and the room becomes a blur. I am still standing over my daughter's bed, staring at the wall. From the small, square window of her room, I watch day and night cycle by rapidly. My anger changes to anguish. My wife has sold our daughter as a whore. Is this what I have made of my family? I had sought to free my country from the grip of colonizers, and my reward is this? What of my son, Rakoto? Where is he in all of this? By way of answer, I see a vision of Rakoto working in a distant field on the southeastern tip of my beloved island. He is unhappy. I understand that he does this to send money home to Finoana. My angst diminishes and my thoughts go blank. I simply stand and the world blurs by around me, the days churning. I hear my name called and time slows again. I find myself rising above the house without having thought to do so, and moving over the town. It is Rakoto and Mikanto who have spoken my name. I stand near them now. They are wrapping a body in a long, white, silken shroud. I concentrate and understand that it is Finoana who has died. My children mourn for their mother. I look into their faces and see that they are older now than I was when I died. Mikanto has children by her side, and her face is fixed with hatred. Rakoto turns to her and says that he does not believe that their father, me, became Angatra. She shakes her head, lowers her eyes to the body of her mother, and carefully lifts. Rakoto carries the other end of his mother into our family's crypt. My bones should be in this crypt. If they were, I would not be this wandering spirit. When Rakoto leaves the crypt, I follow him. He is staying in the city, Antananarivo, and I follow his car for many miles. He gets out at a hotel in what appears to be a wealthy part of the city, certainly not a part I've ever stood in before. A uniformed man bows lightly to Rakoto and opens the door to the lobby for him. I follow Rakoto closely. If anyone could see me, they would think we were attached. The lobby is dazzlingly bright, adorned with high ceilings and crystal-laden chandeliers. I follow my son to the massive, brass-colored doors of the elevator banks, and then into one of these elevators. Finally, Rakoto arrives at a door on the 5th floor. He knocks gently, and a dark-skinned African woman answers, immediately letting him in. Her hair is short and closely cropped to her small, round head. Her cheekbones are high and her brown eyes large. Her beautiful face lights up when she sees my son. I slip in behind Rakoto as before the heavy door shuts with a loud clunk. Rakoto hugs this woman, kisses her cheek, and tells her he's going to take a shower. I wait. Rakoto returns, dressed in a white bathrobe. The steam from his quick shower pursues him into the main part of the room. He sits at the small table in the room, holding the hand of this woman, perhaps a wife, across the table. She asks him how it went. He answers that there was some problem with his sister. I move closer to them, worried that my presence might be felt, but they do not indicate that I am sensed. They have a quiet, intimate way about them, and I am grateful that my son, at least, seems to have found a better life. She insists that father still haunts the old house, he says. The woman frowns lightly, in pity for Mikanto, I realize. She has had a hard life. Rakoto continues. She swears that one time, when she was a teen, when times were a lot harder, he looks down at his lap, she was with a man, and something scratched that man's back. 3 huge slashes across his back. And since there was no one else in the room, he was going to hit Mikanto. And she says that she saw our father, or something that had the shape of our father, ram this man into the wall to stop him. She says that it looked like the outline of our father, but with red eyes and long claws for fingers. The woman looks aghast. 3 long claws, Rakoto finishes. My attention fades from their conversation briefly. I hear the word cannoli and I remember that this refers to a particularly rageful ghost who kills those with whom it is angry or displeased. I am Cannoli. I could not be more cursed. Rakoto's voice brings me back. My father was a good man. He left to fight the French in '47. He never came back. We never found his body because we did not know where to look. All of the men he was with disappeared too. There was no one to ask. We could not place him in the family crypt or perform Famadihana. I realize that this woman is not from our island. Her skin is darker than most Malagasy, and her hair is very close to her scalp, different from how Malagasy women often wear their long, straightened hair. She asks my son what Famadihana is. Rakoto laughs lightly and says that yes, he is reminded that she is not from here, that things are done very differently in Nairobi. This appears to be a joke between them because they exchange some banter about how he is from the country and she is from a large city. I can tell from the way they look at each other that they are in love. Rakoto tells her that even now, in 1967, with the French no longer in charge and with all of the events in the world such as Vietnam, a name that holds no meaning for me, in Madagascar, the Malagasy still perform certain rituals. The Famadihana is like a party, he explains, where our dead ancestors are pulled from the family crypt. We take their bodies, just bones really, and wrap them anew in pristine silk shrouds. We write their names on the silk, and during this process we talk to them. We tell them about what's happened with the family since they died, or since the last Famadihana, which occurs every 7 years or so. And we carry the body around on our shoulders and dance, and there is music, and it's actually a happy time. Rakoto bursts into laughter because the look on his mate's face is one of disbelief. I swear, this is something that we consider essential for the spirit to ascend to heaven. My concentration fades again. I am both in the room with them and not. I can see the whole of the city, and to me it looks like nothing but ants bustling back and forth. The cars moving through the narrow streets are like leaves the ants carry endlessly between tree and lair. I feel very disconnected from the world, and I feel myself dissolving, becoming less me. I snap back to attention as Rakoto says my name. He is clinking his glass against his mate's in a toast, and he has said my name. They are both laughing. She repeats my name, and for a moment I am in the room with them, whole. I feel the bed I am seated on, the soft duvet, the coolness of the air-conditioned room. I smell the wine they are toasting my memory with. This happens while they are both tipping their heads back with eyes closed to drink their toast, and then I am ethereal again. I can see and hear, but not feel or smell. Rakoto places his glass on the table, rises, and extends his hand to the woman, who takes his with a smile and stands. They kiss, and slowly back up until they fall onto the bed, laughing. They begin the process of removing each other's clothes in order to make love, and I will myself home. Home. Something I don't have. I am standing in my daughter's room again, the same place where the last dozen years flew past without me knowing. The paint has faded and chipped from the windowsill. The bed is gone, and the room is filled with cardboard boxes, as if someone has packed to move out. This is home, apparently, the house I last lived in. There are shouts and a woman's shrill scream from outside, and I move to the front room. Before I can find out what is going on, the front door bursts open. There are several men with torches and angry faces. They move throughout the house and set fire to each room by tipping their torches onto the carpet, the drapes, some of the boxes, anything that'll burn. They file out nervously, some dropping their torches inside. I leave with them, immediately on their heels. Out in the street, on the dirt of the road, my daughter Mikanto sits sobbing, her 3 children behind her trying to hold her back from rising and running toward the house again. I hear the men telling her that it is done, that the cannoli of her father will burn with the house he haunts. She screams at them, telling them that this house was the only money she had, that there is no ghost. I know from listening to my son that she is lying. She believes her father assaulted that man so many years ago. but she must deny it in order to survive. If they believed she had a cannoli protecting her, they would do away with her rather than just her mother's house. The men leave one by one. Even her children wander away from her and collect in distant knots of conversation. Mikanto stays on the street, watching her inheritance burn with the fading light of dusk behind it. I can feel her hatred of me radiating like heat. Everything that I have done, both in life and in death, has brought her to ruin. Out of fear of making things somehow worse for her, I will myself back to my bones. I cannot remember precisely where they are, but at once I find myself standing in a shack. It has no door, so I can see the house it belongs to close by. There are farming tools hanging from nails driven into the ramshackle wood. Yes, this is where I died, on farmland. They have all forgotten that our bones lie beneath their homes and gardens. Or perhaps they never even knew. I sink to my knees and weep tearlessly. Outside, the days and nights flicker by. More time has passed when I hear my name called. By now, I know it is a simple thing to will myself toward the people speaking my name. I appear in a small home, at the side of a bed with a small child in it. There are toys scattered on the floor near a toy box. It is dark, a sliver of moonlight peeking through the square window. The boy's mother has just walked out of the room. I think on this and realize that the woman is Mikanto. That would make this child, this boy, my grandchild. The flickering blue of a television in the other room distracts me, so I turn my back to it. And I am going to pause there and pick that back up tomorrow. I hope everybody's enjoying this so far. Again, this is Turning of the Bones, Part 1, a story focusing on some of the traditions of funerary practices in Madagascar. And it is part of my book, ENANTIODROMIA. It is the first story of 5, and this book is for sale on Amazon, $4.99 paperback and 99 cents ebook. And I will see you guys tomorrow. As I said last night, remember to wash your family and keep your hands 6 feet apart. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for listening.